Hey guys, it's been a while. Welcome back to the letter. I took a break. The game is so long and has so much dialogue, I needed a break from it. And I ended up playing White Day, which actually had just the same amount of dialogue as this day, which I found pretty funny. But I'm ready to get back to it, and I'm ready to continue on with Ash and see what's gonna happen with him. Let's continue. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. So soft footfalls echoes from the fall distance. Scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm. Moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing note of her laughter. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laugh echoes. A sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that have driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slowly and sluggish as I blink away in the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. The early morning light already streams from the open windows, and when the memory sets in, the room finally comes into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, both her arms under her head, while she continues to rest. Even to the chaos of the papers and folders we've left scattered over it, before sleep has claimed both of us. We bunkered down her last night. Yeah. After both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part, staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wanted to remain alone, when there's that woman. Is she still one in the first place? One that we normally call human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck. I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about this still matters, when all of our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If you don't do anything about her and this curse, we definitely be pushing Daisy soon. I can't let that happen. I've dallied on this long enough. Left my friends in harm's way after warning they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention. At this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It has caught my eye the night before, but with the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned at the top of the page, however, provides this paper with a whole new meaning. Not for me,
a scholarship grant, huh?
I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to chase after it. It's been 5 years after all. I've caught enough snippets of conversations between her and Zach to know what she has given up on. Despite how things have planned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. As silly as this may sound, coming from a friend, I'd like to give her a chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring out what the deal with this curse is, I'll do so. If only to see her that smile on her form that one time again. These days, the only moments she seems to show it is when she sleeps. Like right now. No matter how uncomfortable she appears, a smile on my own forms. Despite this, when I glance at her sleeping form again, she hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the papers back where I've gotten them, carefully, so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself from a makeshift bed. Isabella shifts. When I carry her off the floor and over to the bed, but doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly though, she mumbles something to her and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back into a deeper state of sleep after. It hasn't been interrupted by slightest movement earlier, but the small smile on her lips remain. One I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way. Better to leave her in her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about her problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her. A moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it. After everything she's been put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check in with. Isabella definitely get it a tizzy if I don't check in with them. Cold Luxborn air meets upon stepping out of the hallway. Not unusual in itself. This is what Luxborn weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often or not, trembling drab with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky's still clear, but I'll give it a day or 2 before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rain for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in the world. When I can no longer... I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare. That's probably all this is. Usually, I'll say. I've been through worse. But that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, just so I won't have to think about it in the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is the show of weakness.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What does Zach? What is Rebecca? Z-Man has shown photographs mentioned weird things happening around him these past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows as much as I do. Why else would he approach me? The guy knows stuff according to him. In the end, all I've done is give him the brush off. Some reliable guy I am. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping from anything that might provide any answer the way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this. However, that thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it. She will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up to Becca's door, one slow step at a time, stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this? When there's a 90% chance she's passed out, a whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. Well, only alarm she'll be showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella, but even with her, Becca fuming still takes hours. I run my hands through my hair, straighten out my jacket before knocking, once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure she heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Second ticks by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang on my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather her face her with wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My hands pause short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other night peeks in through this door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say that they need help from being devoured by the sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole, too. Course of action, so people like him won't ruin your day. act like the nicest person on the planet. Has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of here.
He slams his door shut, without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words at me. Probably thinks I won't hear them inside the four walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I am thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act rashly, to find out where she is and go straight there, without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach's to the boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to both of them should do the trick. It eases my nerve at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts, and finding out that they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason, I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it is an anxiety from concerned dull judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to call... I'm yawning so much. Any means to calm it will do wonders for a muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling out my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends on the group with only Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella's number in it. Who's Abigail? Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they have the chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from the uni, neighbors, and those sort of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking anything. Unlike the others, none of Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the certainties of Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there. The next, I know being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment or something as simple as spending your day off with anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some hopeless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more of enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it, instead for asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring in the silence of the hallway. It sounds almost alone, might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring, it goes straight to voicemail. A cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep a voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone. In the event that the woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows that she's faced with something that she can't handle herself. Becca will see my missed calls and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Far too long than anybody else who would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now. Of course, I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had an awful moment as a bratty kid and as a horrible teenager. Issues. I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with them for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to Professor mostly. But at least I do wonder if it still burdens me, the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct my frustration towards anyone else. While I wasn't kind who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of those people because of it. From my old friends back into high school and neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry. Angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't be going through it. I believe my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. No times she stuck with me, snatched me out of my little soul, as she often phrases it, whenever she gets the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her sick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she is still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail. Then my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he's been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca, out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay. At the very least, whatever he is planned on doing. All I'm asking is for not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, just desperation clings and pushes people to do things. Rational and irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. What's today's date? What is today's date? This one. This night is when Zachary dies. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope. I think I already read that. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers. Or his voicemail, at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail, anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it. Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has been an extra battery or a power bank in his bag, if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he has gone quite a roster of the VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends needs him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile is out of the range area. Sounds like plausible. Although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlikely Rebecca and he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he definitely was the first one to offer help or try to do something. And if he ends up trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt for those times I repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's a Watson and I'm to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not the pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with this most of the time. Even when he doesn't need to. It's not the case of a cool cop who's helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and a reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie. But I've grown, thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impression went, I'm lucky that he's still around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I had to call a best friend. Though it's more than that. A camaraderie no words can express. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's the brother I've never had the luck of ever having. Only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say that she went out to meet with someone. No specific name. If I'm wrong, she's not with Professor Clark, but maybe with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continuing dialing for his phone, another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to it just not when it comes to people I'm close with. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious stringing coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. It annoys me that I can't do right. Now is grit with my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash in Luxborn and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. This city's too big, a place for one person to go searching for only 2 people. I'll be lucky if I even get a glimpse of a hair of either of them. With one last frustration glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and slam the door behind me. Way to go. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so, when it's the people you care about.
Ash, did you really have to shut it like that?
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing in the stove, while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it has become a common sight after the 3 of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch, instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it healthy. She claims Zach's just too happy to able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all these things going around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose? Isabella doesn't follow up her questions earlier, but she does raise my eyebrow, my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quirk or 2. If the timing for a joke isn't off or doing so, it won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to yet. Until I've received an answer from Rebecca or Zach, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle creases between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hands in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow a noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them, so I won't have to think. One by one, they're trickling back into my consciousness, even more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we've gotten from ERC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those that laughed last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this will only prove there might be more copies of this dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it. I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca. Zach. Isabella.
They're all depending on me and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Man, I really fucked up. He's really stressing and Zach's dead. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I've bent over and buried my head into my hands. Figures why she's been staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease on her eyebrows grow deeper, and my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me, without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she just stands up and takes empty spaces right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then, the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first before I've gotten the chance to take in what's just handed me. A faint sweet smell of coca wafts from the dish. Should I call it cocoa? It looks like, I don't know. Calm and comforting despite the multitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though, from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is it even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it? The milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is, handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging into hers. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glanced her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, and her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, she's listening, as a background noise, and voices from it stream too cheerfully, a welcome distraction if anything. It's only after she finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then close. Hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distance in the air, as if she's reminded something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's the tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet sincerity underlies each syllabus once they're out on the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at one she's proffered not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate it, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out of there. Who knows what that ghost will show up again. Even our dreams are not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when. And present we have a chance of respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's a mundane of sharing food between us, quietly just sitting side by side like this without exchanging any words. The intent hanging unspoken in the air, something that probably goes back and forth as the seconds she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I allow myself to break that, I'll leave up to her. I'm not hungry. Take her off. Well, yeah, I want to take her off.
Thank you.
Yeah, better. The words roll off my tongue, awkwardly and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts with a smile and nothing more, regardless of everything left unsaid, and the sight of it being comforter. More so than any generous offer for food can give. Though we both lapse into silence, as we finish our food, there's an ease in it. In this, I had a muffled sound of the Luxborn filtering into the room. In the light streaming from her window, and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose trindles of her hair. And the way her voice flatters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly after a minute pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl still holds tightens. There's no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from LuxU.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide. She snatches it away from where I placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads the line of pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the crease and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too.
I trail off, hesitating, measuring in weights of my next words. Genuine as they are, a part of me believes they are a burden, too heavy to impose upon her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we are not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask her of that. More than that, her family will always come first. I say nevertheless, if only to let her know how that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives whose lives her mere presence has changed. Wow, I completely messed that up. Mine, most of all.
You have us.
The world startled her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me. Her eyes widen, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology at my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can quite place. Something distinctively softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glances at me years ago, that day at the bridge. What happened at the bridge? However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City.
All of a sudden, my
Beggars
ringtone
watch
breaks,
out,
breaks the
Looking
moment.
for trouble?
And just as
Better
fast,
not
all of
lie.
our attention
I'm a
shifts
cool
towards the
dude.
source.
Pretty fly for an
Before
Asian
things can
guy.
get awkward
Sup,
fast,
I'm
I
Ash from
stand up and
Deluxe
leave
City.
the room
Beggars
while
watch
muttering
out,
some
can't
flimsy
beat
excuse
me.
to answer the
Looking
phone.
Sorry, let me just take this call. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but there's timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustration aside, once I step out in the room and accept the call, the stone that has been struck in my stomach simultaneously lodges itself up my throat. The person on the other line isn't who I'm expecting.
Right, Deluxe right? It's Officer Renz over at the precinct. You know, you bring me donuts to keep an eye out for you and shit.
Oh, yeah, right, Renz. What's up? You've, never called me through this line before. Is this something urgent?
Yeah, kinda. Something came up this morning. You know the big guy? Your, buddy? The bloke Benjamin saw took by here a few days ago? Big guy. Around 6 feet tall.
Zach?
I don't feel too good about
Yeah,
this.
him. Zachary Steele, I think.
What about him?
He's been detained and
Wait, what?
What do you mean he's been detained?
they brought him in this morning.
That's not what I asked. What are the charges?
I don't know. Not my division. I'm not really supposed to be on the phone right now, but I thought you want to know. Anyway, I gotta go. If you want to see him, just drop by.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see him, but he ain't gonna see us. Did it?
Not sure how that'll work, though. The chief has a standing order not to let you into the precinct until Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. I'll bring you some coffee to go with those donuts, too, next time.
The call ends with a click, while I'm left here reeling, staring blankly at my phone. It's just my luck that in those exact moments Isabella chooses to peek out from her apartment.
Was that Zach? Is he gonna drop by?
I have no idea how I look right now, but it must be far from anything pleasant. The curious expression on Isabella's face quickly melts away as soon as she chances a close glance at me.
What's wrong, Ash?
I'm left with no choice. Then I tell her exactly as Officer Renz have said, and the more I spill, the more grim her becomes.
Stay here. I'll go check on him. See what I can do.
No, I'll go with you.
Belle, I'm not going in there for a casual visit. Zach's in trouble and...
I know, but he's not the kind of person who'd do something that'll land him in prison.
Believe me, I'm on the same page as you, but...
I want to see him, all right?
Not good. And there it is, the same sharp gleam that has been present in my in her eyes since yesterday. Little by little, I'm finding it difficult to say no to it. What other choice do I have to? Still, no word from Rebecca and Zach. Isabella probably doesn't want to be the one who ends up waiting for the news. I know exactly how that feels. So in the end, a nod that simply responds I can give.
Just let me turn off everything. I'll be out in a few.
Quickly, she disappears behind the door. From the inside, the sound of her foot shuffling, a few locks clicking shut, a television being turned off from drifts out the hallway. Her whole business inside takes a few minutes, and within 5, we're both on our way to the LPD. Okay guys, I'm gonna end it there because I'm pretty sure we all know what's gonna happen next episode and I'm so sorry. I hope you guys are enjoying. If you want to check out some other stuff, check out the links below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Bye!
Gotta get